I like completely messed up my diet on Friday and Saturday. And I don't mean like I kind of made an oopsie or I made a small mistake that I could probably correct by logging in here. I didn't log anything and I completely messed up. Welcome back, everyone. Cut update here for you. Want to give you another one at the end of week 2. 2 weeks done and we're feeling pretty darn good. Actually, today we're feeling pretty great, honestly. Just had lunch a little while ago and wanted to give a brief update just on how the cut itself is going, what's going on with it, what's hard, what's difficult, and then some uniqueness to this week that I think will be good for everybody to kind of digest, talk about, observe, and really just learn from. So let's just jump right into it. I've got the MacroFactor app pulled up right here, looking at last Monday, and I want to talk about how that week went, highlight a couple points. We're not going to go over every day because, the eating more or less is the same within some boundaries. Tried a couple new things, ate a couple different foods, but overall the week itself really was mostly the same. Last week started out though with a very small increase in calories. We saw about a 50 calorie increase per day. It wasn't much. Actually, I'd have to go back and look overall what the weekly total was. Looks like it was 2035 per day, 2,035 calories that is per day the week prior, and then starting the week at 11th, it was 2,091. So yeah, about 60 extra calories total per day, which really wasn't a lot. That's not going to fill you up any additional. That's not going to give you much. Really, all that's going to do is allow me to eat one of those extra little seaweed snacks that I bought that were kind of good, but overall not very tasty, at least the plain sea salt ones. Now, this week, it wasn't really feeling that difficult to manage these calories. I feel like in the last video, I was a little morose about how, like, overall I was feeling. And truthfully, by the end of the week, I was pretty tired and pretty hungry and just a bit exhausted. I didn't feel physically tired. I think it was more of a mental tiredness looking back on it. And then that overall just hunger that was really hitting me. But you can see here at the beginning of the week, I was very diligent here about splitting my meals up between 11 o'clock in the afternoon and then all the way to the evening for my dinner. I did a much better job of splitting up what I was eating for lunch into 2 meals when necessary, and then either adding an additional snack in the afternoon if I didn't eat at 11 o'clock and just ate at 12. So somewhere around 2 or 3, I would eat a snack, something like yogurt with some protein powder in it, Greek yogurt with protein powder in it, or maybe just a bag of veggies. Those types of things were holding me over through the day. I learned very quickly that I love like green beans with just some black pepper on them, teeny little bit of salt. It's fantastic. It's a great snack. And that whole bag is really not that many calories. I want to say an entire bag is like 200 total calories. And I was splitting it up between, 2 separate meals basically. So I was eating half of it now, half of it later, now being maybe around 1 or 2, and then a little bit later around 3 or 4. And over the course of a couple hours, finishing that bag was doable and sustainable with regards to making it so that I could finish my lunch and not be so hungry by the time I got to dinner around 5 or 6 o'clock. So split up the week, or rather split up the day here and decided to make those meals a little bit smaller almost every single day. And that worked out perfectly. Again, this is one of those things that's just tried and true for me. I should have known that from the onset. I've done this so many times up to this point, and it really shouldn't have been a surprise that I was able to feel more energized, more focused, and more full throughout the day by splitting those meals up. But we live and learn. We're big dummies at the end of the day sometimes, and I just was a big dummy for a little bit there and making it a little bit harder on myself than it needed to be. I want to point out at the bottom here, last thing of the day here around 7 o'clock, I had a little extra room of calories in my diet, and I had 150 calories worth, about 130 grams worth, about half a container really, of Halo Top ice cream. Halo Top ice cream is an absolute lifesaver during a cut. I didn't have any the week before. I had been talking about it all week, and my lovely wife went and actually got some for me at the grocery store when she made a trip there one day. She picked up 2 cartons of it for me. And that ice cream really sustained me through the week, just kind of giving me that little sweet treat. You can literally eat half of a pint and it's 150 calories. It's so easy to program that into your daily allotment that it almost seems silly to not program a treat of some kind like that for you. Oftentimes, we look at a diet or a cut or whatever it is we're focusing with regards to our body recomposition as this entire negative where we have to avoid all of these foods. But I'm of the mindset of actually, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be just avoiding foods. We should find a way to program in the things that we like within reason and make sure that we can still reward ourselves. You might not be able to gorge yourself on donuts or huge sugary bowls of cereal or, the really sweet drinks from your favorite coffee shop, but you can still find ways to overall treat yourself and make sure that you're not just going to be suffering for months and months and months or weeks and weeks and weeks, however long your diet actually lasts. Now, moving on to day 2, like I said, we're not going to look at every single day in full detail here. You can see I was really favoring the yogurt for my breakfast in the morning with some granola in it, and then my coffee per usual, and then moving back through the routine of getting that chicken, splitting up lunch into 2 meals, and then later on in the day having either another chicken breast or having some of the beef that I cooked for myself. You can see today I ended with the second half of that pint of ice cream that I had purchased. Now, when we move over to here to Wednesday, what you'll find is I had my first serving here of green beans. You can see I had 2 of the 4 servings. That was actually only 60 calories, so well overestimated. A bag of green beans was only 120 total calories for the whole bag, which is super doable with regards to fitting it into your diet. I hope you like vegetables. They're filling, they're very good for you. We need those vitamins and minerals that are within all those various vegetables, and I do try to rotate them out. I have some that I prefer over others. Corn, I love corn, but I like it with butter, so I don't eat a lot of corn during this phase because I like to put some butter on it, and that's just extra calories that I'd rather not spend on just butter. But rotating those things out is going to make a mile of a difference with regards to the variety you can have in your diets. And then you can also always go and get those mixed bag of veggies too that I love to consume, especially when I'm making like stir-fry type meals, whether that's beef, whether that's turkey, whether that's chicken. You can mix those things so easily with anything. And the frozen bags, you don't actually have to unfreeze them. You can just throw them right into, if you've got a wok or a skillet cooking with whatever protein, throw them in there, get it all cooking together, and you can really prep some meals that are going to be nice, nutritious, and healthy for you in a super simple and cost-effective way. Now here you'll see I ended the day with a pretty, I'm going to call it slobby meal, messy meal. I had 120 grams of pita chips, 60 grams of hummus, and just beef. I was craving something a little salty, and I didn't really have many options. But I also needed a lot of calories by the time I got to this point in the day. You can see that like by the time I got through lunch, I only had, looks like 60 calories worth of the green beans, but I had 570 calories with my chicken. I had almost 500 for breakfast, and then I had a really long lapse in time. I didn't have a very sustainable meal through that day. So by the end of the day, I was like, I need to get these extra calories. I was feeling hungry, I remember, and the hummus and the pita chips really did a world of wonder for me. They're not like that unhealthy. They're not that laden with salt. I'd have to check. I wonder if I can actually click on these and see the exact breakdown. I think it will show me. Yeah, let's take a quick look here. If we scroll down through this, MacroFactor is great. It'll really break down all these various statistical points for you, the vitamins and minerals that are going to be in it. And if we keep scrolling, we'll see it had 1,100 milligrams of sodium, which is not too bad considering how little I eat in a day. I believe what this is saying is it's about 57% of your total daily allotment. And I put an enormous amount of effort to not put salt in anything that really just doesn't need it. I cook with Mrs. Dash most of the time for my proteins, so that's no salt right there. I highly, highly, highly recommend you try cooking with it. I actually will cook with MSG. MSG is not this horrible, evil chemical that it was known to be in the 80s and 90s. That's all bunk science. That's been debunked. There was still a mania around it for a long time, but it's not necessarily any more unhealthy than regular salt is. And in fact, if I remember this correctly, if I say it correctly, because there are less molecules of sodium in each, I'm going to call it grain, in each grain of MSG, there's less overall sodium in MSG than you would find in regular table salt. That means you can use about the same amount of it or even more of it and not get as worse of a benefit or as bad of a benefit as you would from using sodium, which can be really hard just on our bodies in general. We do need sodium though. We have to have sodium in our diets. It's a vital nutrient for us, and it's very, very, very important to make sure that you're getting enough of, but not overdoing. It is one of those ones that you can very easily overdo. And in America, people love their fats and salts. It's what makes the world go round around here, it seems. So I do try to spare it as much as I can when I'm cooking for myself at home. That way, when I am consuming it, I'm not overdoing it on a routine basis. Okay, Thursday, much of the same thing here, really nothing to speak of. You can see I split my meal right here, beef, into 2 separate meals, and then I had my chicken breast at the end of the day. Here's what I wanted to really talk about with you all today. You're going to notice it's completely blank on Friday and Saturday right here. I didn't log anything, and I completely messed up my diet. And I don't mean like I kind of made it oopsie or I made a small mistake that I could probably correct by logging in here. I mean that I like completely messed up my diet on Friday and Saturday, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It was planned. We had my wife's holiday party for her work, and I knew that there was going to be a very small chance that I was going to be able to accurately check and measure how much food I was consuming for the dinner and then the breakfast that we would consume in the morning. Now, I actually did end up tracking breakfast, lunch, snack, everything up to dinner. But by the time we got to dinner, all there was this. It was a buffet style where they had, great beef, fish, salads. They had some mac and cheese, bread, all that stuff. And I knew no matter how good of a guess I gave it, I wasn't going to be able to estimate the whole plate within a good enough amount of reason. I can generally take a pretty good stab at a plate when it's like one or two things might be a little bit unknown, but because it's entirely serve yourself, and I know how bad I am with guesstimating how big something is, how long something is, how much something weighs, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it justice. So what I instead tried to do was stay away from the breads. I had a small spoonful of mac and cheese. It was really good. I had two bourbons that night, so I knew those were about 150 calories. And then the beef is really what I just tried to fill myself up with, rather the beef and the fish. I had a bunch of the beef, I had a bunch of the fish, but I didn't have so much that I thought I was eating outside of my limits here. And I really tried to stay in the realm of reason for what my portion sizes should be. In the morning, my scale weight was actually up by, I want to say, half a pound to a pound. So I'd put on a little bit of weight overnight, which isn't really surprising, or rather in previous 24 hours, which isn't really surprising. There was probably a lot of sodium in a lot of that food I was eating, especially in the beef itself. And then the drinks themselves probably didn't help either. Those are just completely empty calories that did nothing from a macronutrient level. So I didn't get down on myself. This was completely planned for. And in Macro Factor, I chose not to track that day at all because if I'm really far off, it's going to completely mess up my calculations. It's going to be a lot better in this instance to not track that than to put in something that's either half complete, meaning you've only put in maybe 1,000 to 2,000 calories that you're supposed to be consuming for the day, and then Macro Factor assumes that you ate 1,000 calories and still put on weight. That's really going to mess up the calculations. I did the same thing on Saturday. We ended up going to a Cracker Barrel, which is actually a meal rather, that I can track. And I started to track it, but then we ended up having dinner with our friends who made a very healthy white chicken chili. I had a great portion size. It wasn't overdoing it. But again, I couldn't accurately track what the total calories were going to look like. So I decided, again, let's wipe it. Let's get rid of it. I don't want it to mess it all up. I know I ate within the realm of reason. And then at the end of the day into Sunday morning, I was actually back down again. My weight was trending down the whole time, but my weight was down below what it had been Friday morning. So I was back on track. Everything was working out just fine. We had basically a blip in the radar, and I'll actually scroll over to the dashboard here so you can see my weight trend. And you'll see that if we look at that week there, you can see Saturday and Sunday, that little blip I had from that holiday party. It's not the end of the world. Again, that darker purple, that lower line, that's our scale weight. And the lighter purple, or the line at the top, that's our trend weight. So that's the estimated, like if we just stopped right now trying to lose weight and be maintained, that's where we would essentially level off at. That momentary blip didn't really change anything, especially in the scheme of a month here. You can see that overall progress is still going way, 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 way down. We're significantly down, we're significantly on track. And if we scroll to find where our goals are, let me find where that is. I have to retrain myself. Here it is. Our goal progress, we're still doing really good. And our optimistic ETA is February 7th, which is a whole 3 weeks almost before we take this trip to Mexico, which is the whole point of this cut right now, is to get in great shape for Mexico. Now, I am planning to take a break at some point. I'm thinking I'm going to end up taking 1 to 2 weeks at most to just eat at a maintenance, not go overboard, but eat at a maintenance, give my body the rest and recovery it might need to get out of that significant calorie deficit for that long. We can stall out a little bit. It can get a little trepidatious if we go too long with diets and cuts like this, and it can essentially force our body. And what it can ultimately do is lead to us having a sort of plateau in our ability to lose any weight, where we're not going to be able to lose any weight at all, and we're going to start just slowly losing weight compared to the weight loss, the rapid weight loss in comparison that we've been able to maintain up to that point. We're averaging 2 pounds a week right now that we're losing, which is great. We are right on track, and I'm feeling pretty darn good. At the end of the week, I wasn't really feeling the hunger pains like I was the previous week. It still was there, and I talked about this on the podcast for this week that you'll hear soon. That those hunger pains were still kind of there later on in the week and a lot worse than they were earlier in the week, but they weren't nearly as bad as the first week. I think with time, it's going to get easier and easier and easier to hit those goals and maintain it. But right now, I'm feeling great. I love the meals that I have found for myself. I'm thankful again that I'm able to work from home and cook these meals fresh for myself most days during lunch and in the afternoons, or at least rush between meetings to go heat something up that I made maybe the night before or the day before. So it's working really well. You can see also here on my home screen that my target calories have gone up. We're up to 2,200 calories a day right now. This morning, Macro Factor gave me about 150 extra calories per day to play with and work with here. So now I'm going to be sitting here every day and enjoying my extra 150 to 200 calories that I didn't have the day before. I've planned out most of my day so far right here. You can see I've got most of the normal things that you're used to seeing on here. Big fan still of the salsa. I'm almost out of that salsa that I bought, that gourmet salsa. It's very good. I think I'm going to spring for a hot salsa in the coming week. But we'll see. That medium salsa really is at really good middle ground, so I might get both of them just to change it up a little bit and get something a little spicy. But at the end of the day here, I'm going to have my chicken breast and my green peas. I'm also going to have a spinach salad with that. I didn't track that down there. I did with my lunch. You can see the tomatoes. I, again, didn't track the spinach itself because the calories are just so negligible with the amount of spinach I'm eating. But I am adding the cherry tomatoes in there because those can add up quickly. And I will, again, have one of those for dinner as well alongside the green peas and the chicken breast too. I'm enthusiastic. I'm feeling great. This cut's going really well. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions. I'd also love to hear some of your favorite healthy snacks, healthy recipes. I know tons of them. Sometimes it's good to be reminded of others that you may have forgotten about. But I would love to hear some of your favorite little treats for yourself, ways that you sweeten it up during the week and just change it up, even if it's in just small little quantities to give you that little extra boost sometimes when you're really needing it. I'm also going to be filming a store shoot soon here. We got to go get some groceries because later this week, we're going home to my parents' house, into my hometown, where I know right out the gate, they're planning like an Olive Garden dinner. They're going to order catering, but we're going to have like an Olive Garden dinner on Friday for a family member's birthday. And I'm going to be prepping all my meals for that trip later this week. So I'm hoping to shoot that footage and get that all out to you probably the following week, which would be the week of Christmas, so you can see kind of what goes into a shopping trip like this and how you can plan to take your cuts on the road, your diets on the road, and not just be stuck with fast food that, yeah, you can play around with it and you can manage your day and get your calorie allotment with fast food, but you're not going to stay very full if you're eating, a 1,000-calorie burger or a 1,000-calorie meal in just one sitting, and then you've only got 1,000 calories left for the rest of your day. So more to come on that. I hope this was helpful for you. I've been wanting to get these out for you all weekly. I'm going to get another cut vlog, like I said, out later this week with regards to filming the grocery store trip, as long as I can get the camera to operate in the cart the way I want it to. And then also filming some of the prepping and actually packaging of those meals and how we're going to transport it up there with 2 dogs, my wife, and a baby in the car at the same time too. Let me know what your favorite snacks are. I'm looking forward to seeing those comments and those treats. I've been loving the engagement. It's super helpful and comforting to know that there's people watching these and engaging with them. And if there's any questions you have about what I'm doing for my cut and how you can make yours a little bit better, leave them down there. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. Hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon.